All right, welcome Shari and everybody. Thank you for coming on to teach us all your expertise tonight. We are excited. If you're catching the replay, make sure you listen to the whole recording because she has a lot of great information to teach us tonight. All right, now Shari and I we think we're experts, so let's see. I'm gonna flip over I'm gonna mute everybody, and then I'm flipping to her being a host. Okay, so she can share her screen. All right, there you go, Shari. Now I'm gonna mute myself too.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. Well, good. It froze for a second, but I think we're okay. All right. So, hang on. How come we're on slide 10? That's not right.
Shari, go back. Yeah, like go to the top. Yep. Sometimes that's easier.
Yeah.
There you go.
It wasn't even letting me change slides, so we'll try it again and see how it works next time.
I think it gets funny sometimes.
Maybe we'll just, is that okay? Is that?
Yeah, you can click slideshow if you want, and then it'll, if you click slideshow, it'll allow you to, there you go.
All right, I see it. All right.
All right, I'm gonna mute me.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Color Street Stylist. First of all, congratulations for being here tonight. I know it's been a little bit of a tough week for you guys in some ways, and so let's just get that elephant out of the room to start with. As we talked about this a little bit before, but let's kind of revisit that just because I know that for some of you, it's been a little bit frustrating this week. I talked to a lot of Color Street folks, so I'm sort of always really in the know of what's happening there and what's going on. And so I just wanted to cover this first, and then we'll jump into training. And by the way, Jackie and Debbie, we picked these topics a while ago before the launch ever happened this week. And I'm telling you, it's like perfect timing. It's karma. It's a really good training for right now. But having been on the corporate side and also having worked with lots of consultants and leaders in the field with companies that are in the same space that Color Street is right now, working with companies like Origami Owl when they were in their really rapid growth phase, and 31 Gifts, worked with tons of people there when they were in a big growth spurt. Jamberry, I was on contract with them when they were in a really big growth spurt. So I've pretty much every company over the last decade or so that's been experiencing what Color Street has for the last almost 3 years now, with just this rise in sales and stylist count and volume on a very steep curve up. So I've worked with all these companies that have been in that place, and without COVID, forget about COVID. It was a rough time for them. And oops, something just happened to our slides. Was that you?
No, I'm not. Oh, we're looking at Rhonda's screen. It says, that's so weird. Okay, hang on. Let me see here. Let me put me back as the host again. That's really weird. Oh, right, wait, maybe this right here. Screen share, okay. I don't know how she could, I didn't make her a hostess.
This is just.
We lost you, Rhonda. We had your screen, but we're going back to Shari's screen. I'm not sure what happened. Okay, see if it allows you to share again, Shari, because you're still listed as a host.
Well, All right, here we go.
All right, perfect.
Try this again.
Okay.
Wait a minute, sorry. That's the wrong set.
I like your background.
Yeah, my, all right. My slides just completely disappeared, my PowerPoint. All right, well, we'll just, is this okay, guys? Because my slides closed down. We just had a weird juju there, didn't we?
Yeah.
Like you guys weren't supposed to see my slides or something. Okay, so anyway, as I was saying, companies were that on this steep curve up, even without the COVID, experienced really tough times, like 31 Gifts having to put out a recruiting freeze for over a year. And can you even imagine that you're on the verge of being a team leader or executive or director or national, and you and your team can't recruit for a solid year? That was a pretty tough time, but people stuck in there. So with all of the things that I've seen these companies go through, the people that hung in there through those tough times, they're the ones that really, truly made great money and built giant organizations. It's a bump in the road, but that's really all it is. It's going to pass. Home offices, I know this is like white noise, and we've heard it so many times from lots of different areas, but I wanted to be that outside voice coming in and just from my experience with all of these different companies, be able to say to you that it does pass. And you've got, really a fairly small home office team for right now, and it will continue to grow as you guys grow. But they're just a small group of people trying to carry a pretty big load right now, and not having any possible way of knowing what kind of volume you guys are going to be doing in April, May, and June. Every single one of these months has been mind-blowingly bigger than the month before. June is normally a terrible month. May is not great, June is worse, and July is just, typically in the market trend. So there's just been no way of predicting that you guys were going to sell out of the brand new launch so quickly. So just bear with home office. That you got to know that if there was any way for them to keep up with the demand, they would. I mean, if we're frustrated with the lack of ability to sell a certain design or keep enough product in stock and feel like we could be selling so much more if we could get the stock, imagine how Mr. Park feels. We could be making so much more money if we could keep up with supply and demand. So everybody's doing their best. I know it's frustrating, but I just wanted to be that outside voice saying this is not unusual in the best of times, and we are not in the best of times right now. We've got lots of limitations put on us. So I hope that helped a tiny, tiny bit. All right, this is probably in the top 5 of my favorite trainings to share. It's almost always one of the topics that companies pick as their keynote topics for main stage when I come to be their keynote speaker at their national conferences or their big regional events. It's my only really sort of motivational, if you will, presentation. Most of everything I do is skill pieces, how-to, kind of the how-to girl. But this one is as important as any one of those topics because it's really all about the mindsets that help us to be successful. Really important mindsets. And we'll just call it attitude, for lack of a better word. It's attitude. And we often feel like attitude is really just being positive or negative. I'm really positive. I'm not negative, I'm really positive. Or that person's really negative, or that person's really positive, but we just sort of black and white it that way. And attitude is so much more than just being negative or being positive. It's made up of 4 things. Your attitude is 4 pieces. Your mindsets, your mental decisions, your way of thinking, and your perceptions. Those 4 things create our mindset. And as we go through this, I think this is really going to sink in about how important those perceptions, mindsets, way of thinking are to the success of our business. When I think of all of the successful people that I've worked with over the many, many, many years, these are the things that made them successful. skill is important. And they developed that skill set as they went, and they got more and more skilled. But it was these qualities that really took them from stylist to senior executive director and national executive director. And since we have fewer people at that rank than any other rank in the company, that means that it's a special group of people. But as we go through this, you're going to see that you can be one of those special groups of people, because we can all take on these kinds of qualities, every single one of us, right away, starting tomorrow. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next slide. I almost said, Debbie, go to the next slide. All right, we're talking about the 10 keys to exceptional results. And the first one is goal setting. You could call this a skill set, but it's certainly a mental decision to be one of those people that does set goals. Only 1% of Americans set goals. We might have a goal in our head, but it's really not a goal until we put it to paper. It's just a wish when it's just in our head. When we put it to paper, my goal is there's something that cements it for us. 1% of Americans actually write down their goals, and it is your foundation for success. It is the starting point of your success. Just being one of those people that does write their goals. Yale University did a study one year, and they interviewed all of their graduating seniors that year. And they asked them this question: have you written down your life goals? That was one of the questions. And then they came back 20 years later, and they did another survey with those same graduates. And they discovered that the graduates from that class that had written down their life goals earned more than the other 90% combined. The 10% that had written down their life goals earned more than the other 90% combined. And we're talking about Yale University graduates. So these are brilliant people who probably had big careers and made great money, but still from that class, 10% made more than the other 90% combined. So it was a really interesting article that I read on that. It's the difference between getting what you want and settling for it. It's the difference between taking what you get and getting what you want. That's what I was trying to get out of my mouth. If we have a goal to sell $2,000 in June, and at the last week of June, we are at 1,500. But because we wrote down that goal and we really committed to it, we find a way to get another $500 in sales. We go to our VIP group, we message people, we do our own nail bar, whatever it takes, we find a way to get that other $500 in sales. So you just made $150 more than you would have, well, more than that, because you're at enhanced commission then. Because we made that goal and reached it, we make, I don't know exactly this, but about $150 more than we would have if we just settled for the 1,500. That's just a tiny example of the difference that happens in our business when we have those goals. We don't just take whatever we get, we go get what we want. So let's go to the next slide. This is my son at 12 years old, and I love this story. He decided when he was 12 years old that he wanted to get this particular video game. And the video game required more memory than our computer had. How many of you are old enough to remember when you used to have so much memory to play? Thank you, Dar. In your computer to play these different video games. Well, it took more than we had. So not only did he have to pay for a video game, but he would have to buy more memory for the computer in order to make this video game work. And I say he would have to pay, because we had a rule at our house that if they wanted something, they had to pay for things that they wanted. We just didn't buy. If it wasn't their birthday, or if it wasn't a holiday, we just didn't buy things for them just because they wanted them. They had to earn it, and they got $10 a week in allowance. So this, this is when Reed was 12, and he's 37 now. So it's a few years ago. So $10 a week was a good number, trust me. But if they wanted something that cost more than that $10 allowance, you know, it's going to take too long to say, but we would give them extra chores that they could do so they could earn more money. And so Reed decides, I'm going to do this. Well, it's going to cost him $40 for the game, but several $100s for the memory. So he decides he's going to pick blueberries for the summer and earn money that way. Okay, good deal. So we take Reed to the blueberry fields first day. And by the way, we lived in Enumclaw. It's in Green Valley, which means nothing to you, but it was a 30-minute drive each way. And we drove a Suburban, which gets about 6 feet to the gallon. So it was expensive and it was time consuming. Round trip, an hour. Round trip to pick him up, an hour. It was 2 hours out of our day for Reed to pick blueberries. But okay, this is good. He's going to earn some money. This is exciting. So we drop Reed off first day. He's ready to go. He gets out there. And then 8 hours later, we come back to get Reed. And he comes to the Suburban and he is dusty and dirty, and he's been fighting spiders and bees all day. And he's not a happy camper. He is really grumbling. He picked 40 pounds that day. And if we break that down at 25 cents per pound, which, I mean, think about blueberries are little tiny things, picked 40 pounds, it's 25 cents a pound, which means he worked 10 hours and he made 8 hours and he made $10. So he is ready to quit. He's like, I'm done. This was too much work for too little return. And I'm kind of on the same page. I'm thinking I could pay him $10 to mow the grass, and money for this would be 2 hours. I'd get back into my life. So that's what he wants to do. I'm on board. We get home and Dad says, no way, no way. He's not quitting. He committed to this. He's going to finish it. Kind of hard to argue with that. So we didn't want our kids to think whenever things were tough, they could just quit and walk away. So, all right, I get it. So all week I'm trying to be the cheerleader, and we'd drop him off and I'd say, Reed, I know you can pick more today. This is going to be awesome. And he'd say, I'm doing the best I can. And all week it was 40, 41, 39, 42, but really right around that 40-pound mark. Then something really interesting happened. On Friday, we went to pick up Reed, and he's pretty much skipping to the car. And I'm like, what's going on? You look so happy. Well, guess what Friday is? It's payday. And there's just something about that much cash in a little boy's hands, a week's pay in cash in his hand, that was really exciting to him. And everything changed from that point. By the time we got to Monday, he couldn't wait to go. He was really excited about how much he was going to pick that day. I'm going to try and pick 48 pounds. Well, he picked like 52 pounds that day. And then the next day, I'm going to pick 54, setting a little higher goal each time. And he'd pick right around that goal, maybe a little bit more, that he would stick to. He would hit that target every day, or a little bit more. But then the numbers started getting bigger and bigger. And so he would call and say, don't pick me up. First he started skipping breaks, his little 15-minute breaks. He would just take his lunch hour. But then the numbers got bigger. And so he started calling and saying, don't pick me up for another 30 minutes. I have 2 more pounds to go, or whatever. But he would just make sure he did whatever it took to hit his goal. And then another really wonderful thing happened. Clarissa, the owner of the Blueberry Fields, came out to our car when we came to pick him up, and she said, I just want you to know that your son is the best picker I've ever had. And I have got a peacock in the back seat. He is just like all puffed up and so proud of himself. I just wanted to cry. It was a really, really amazing moment. And so Reed just kept growing that goal every day. I don't think he even realized he was setting goals, or what that's called. He just would set a number that he was going to pick that day, and he would not quit until he reached that number. Every Friday, he was recognized as the top seller that week, and they got prizes for being in the top sellers. And our pantry is beginning to fill up with blueberry vinegar, blueberry jam, and blueberry syrup like crazy. But it's pretty exciting. And then they let him be the trainer for the new kids that were coming to work the berry field. So it was a wonderful summer for my son. Now, what I didn't mention a moment ago when we started this story is that he was tested as gifted when he was little. But he struggled in school. He was never more than a C student, even though we knew he was capable of more than that. He didn't know that. He didn't believe that. After that summer, because of the success that he'd had, the recognition, being allowed to train the other kids, being kind of a big deal. After that summer, next school year, he got straight A's. It sounds like I'm making this up, but I'm not. And it was a turning point for Reed. He started to get a glimpse of who he could be if he just worked at it. And for the first time in his life, he really began to believe in himself. So this is a 12-year-old boy that we're talking about. If setting goals can do that for a 12-year-old boy, what can it do for us, right? It can be life-changing. So let's go to the next slide, and we see that as your confidence grows, so will the size of your goals. If Reed had set a goal to pick 65 pounds when he picked 40 the Friday before, he would have set himself up for success. He didn't have the skill set yet. He wasn't fast enough to pick 68 pounds. It was too big of a goal. He wasn't really convinced that he could hit that. I'm just going to try. It was too big. It would have been too big. So it was like baby steps, right? Stretch goals. But it was a stretch goal. From 40 to 52, that's a 12-pound step. So it was a stretch goal. But he believed that if I just work really hard, I can hit that goal. You want to do the same thing. If you're sitting with 4 nail bars on your calendar, don't set a goal to hold 4 nail bars in June. It's not a stretch goal. It's kind of something we're really comfortable with. It already feels like we're going to hit that. Set a stretch goal, something that you're going to have to work for, that will give you a sense of accomplishment when you hit that goal. And that sense of accomplishment is what helps us to grow our confidence and our skill set, because we're working to reach different goals. Then, what is your why? Reed's why was $400 in computer memory and a $40 video game. Was a big deal to him. He wanted it bad enough to really work for it. What is your why? And we're going to talk about how you determine that in just a second. So sticking with the goal setting, this is the one I'm going to talk about the most, as you can tell, and then we're going to cruise on through the rest of them. But when our kids were little, we decided that we wanted to take them on a cruise, and we figured it was going to cost about $7,000 to make that happen. We were going to do a week at Disney and do a cruise, and with hotels and everything, we figured it was going to, an airfare was going to be about $7,000. This is when I was corporate, but I had a salary that I couldn't change or impact, but I did get a bonus every year based on my sales increase for my region, the number of leaders I promoted, and our increases in other statistics. So I got this bonus that was based on all of these key indicators. And my bonus the year before was $2,000. So that was a big leap to go from $2,000 to $7,000. This was my second year as a corporate person at that company. So it was a big leap for me, but it was important. So I got this thermometer and I marked it like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, all the way up to 7,000. And every time my results got big enough that I knew I was going to get a bigger bonus, we would color it in, and the kids could see that thermometer getting colored in, and they would just get more and more excited because it was getting closer to a reality. So we hit that $7,000 bonus. We went on a cruise because I had set a goal to hit the $7,000 bonus. But if I had set a goal for $5,000, that's what I would have hit. Stretch goals, and that was my why. So we had so much fun, and we did this year after year. That was our big thing, and my bonuses continued to grow year after year. And by the way, when I took that position, it was called a developer, and there were 6 of us at any given time that had the same position to grow these different regions of the country. And when I took the position, the other 5 said, forget the bonus, Shari, nobody's ever hit it. Just be happy with your salary. Well, I've always been that girl that if you put money on the table, I'm going to take it. I'm going to make sure I get it. And that was money on the table. So I made sure I got it the first year, the second year, the third year, the fourth year. And at that point, I was the only one of the 6 that was getting a bonus. Everybody else was just happy and satisfied with their salary. But as that bonus continued to grow, and my stepdad, who was really dad to me, just, he was such a great mentor to me, and I loved him so much. he became ill, and I thought it would be so nice to take my extended family on a cruise so that we can all be together at least one more time before Dad passes on. And my brother lived in Florida, my sister and I in Washington, and my mom and dad lived in Arizona. So we talked about it and figured that it was going to be about $40,000 to make this happen, to take 15 people on a cruise. It was really, really important to me, and my bonus had continued to grow. The year before that, it was $74,000. So we figured with the expenses and the lifestyle that we had sort of built to over the years, I would need a $100,000 bonus to take my whole family on a cruise. Big goal, stretch goal. That's almost a $25,000 leap. So we worked it. I had the goal. I had my action plan. I had tracking for it. And I was watching this real closely. And for Christmas that year, I gave everybody a cruise. We paid for airfare. We took them on this cruise. It was probably the best week of my life. It was just amazing. We laughed so much, so much. We still tell stories about that cruise. And so that gray man in the second row there, that's my dad. And those are my kids in the front when they were little, and my nieces. And it was just the best memory ever. So just sharing this with you so you can see what goals can do for you and how powerful they can be. And as a sidebar, the year that I made $101,000 bonus that year, the next closest bonus to me was $16,000. Of all of the other 6 developers, the closest one was $16,000, and one other person hit $4,000. And we were the only bonus earners. Of all those 6, all those women were leaving all that money on the table with no goal. So you want to think about, what is your reason? What is your why? And then you have to answer that with, do I want it badly enough to do whatever it takes to get whatever I want? 2 big questions. What's your why? And do you want it bad enough to do whatever it takes to get whatever you want? And that's an important question. It just might not be something that you want bad enough to work that hard for it. Then it's probably not a real important goal to you. When Color Street launches an incentive trip, do you want it bad enough to do whatever it takes to achieve that incentive trip? Maybe, maybe not. But if you do, let's go to the next step and talk about how we achieve these goals. I'm going to just real quick go through this. These are what I call SMART goals, and it really means goals is, another way of saying goals is success on purpose. When you achieve that goal, it's kind of your fault. You made it happen. If you just let things happen, it wouldn't have happened. Success on purpose. A SMART goal means it's specific, measurable, attainable, realistic with a time frame. Specific, I want to be a team leader by July 1st. That's specific. It's measurable. It has, it's attainable. It's got a time frame. So it has to be specific. We have to be able to measure it. I want to sell a lot. We can't measure. I want to sell 2,000. We can. It has to be attainable. Last month I sold $300. In June, I want to sell 10,000. Probably too big of a leap, right? In our own head, we don't feel like that's attainable. And if we don't think it's attainable, we won't even start to do the work to make it happen. It's just something we thought of, maybe wrote down, but we didn't really commit to it. Realistic, has to be realistic. I'm a stylist and I want to be a senior executive director in 90 days. Not realistic. So we're setting ourselves up to fail, and that defeats the purpose of setting goals, which is to build our confidence, give us a sense of accomplishment, and then time frame, of course, with a deadline. So we start with, my goal is, and then we write as many benefits as we can to that. I want to sell $2,000 this month. Okay, so what does that get for you? Well, I've got my 1,000 for Circle of Excellence. I will earn X amount of dollars, and I would use that money to take my family on a weekend getaway to the beach. I would feel really proud of myself because I've never sold $2,000 before. I would be recognized in the newsletter. We just write as many benefits to it as we can. And then we write out an affirmation like it's already happened. I'm so excited. I sold $2,000 in June. I can't wait to see my name in the newsletter. We decided to go to, the beach for the weekend. I get to treat. We write it as though it's already happened. And then whenever you get discouraged with your goal, like maybe I'm not going to hit this, or this is too much work, pick up your affirmation and read it, and it will take you right back to your commitment to that goal. And then we break it down, $2,000. We could break that down to, that's $500 a week. It's X amount every 4 days. It's X amount of sales every day. It's X amount of sales every hour. We just break it down, and at some point we'll be able to say, oh, I can do that. So if 2,000 sounds like a big number, we have to do that to get our buy-in to it. And then we write down our action plan. What am I going to do to hit that goal? I'm going to create a list of people to contact to book nail bars. I'm going to have a script that I can use to create a script to make to send out to people to get those nail bars. I'm going to do a great job of hostess coaching, so I have low cancellations and good attendance at my nail bars. What is my action plan? That's like your to-do list to achieve your goal. And then, of course, we work our plan. And I love this piece at the bottom. Persistence equals results. If we persist, we will get the results. If we don't give up, we will get the results. Even if you don't hit that exact target, you're going to be so far more ahead than if you didn't have a goal at all. Persistence equals results equals enthusiasm. When we get the result, we get excited. And when we're excited, we get even bigger results. Okay, goal stoppers. What are the goal stoppers? They are our self-talk. That's one of the biggest things that can stop us. When I'm talking to a coaching client and I hear them say, I suck at recruiting, I'll say, let's rephrase that. Recruiting is something I want to get better at. Because just the way we talk to ourselves can give us permission, like, I'm just not good at recruiting. Okay, I'm never going to be good at recruiting. Or recruiting is something I want to get better at. That's a challenge to us. That's our own personal challenge to us. It means I'm going to do something about this. Our self-talk can be a big stopper for us. We can say things like, well, I'm going to try and sell 2,000. I hope I get to team leader. We'll see if it happens. I'm going to try. We'll see if it happens. That kind of self-talk leaves us a back door. And when we have a back door, we always take it. Well, it just didn't happen. No, we want to change that. We want to say things like, I'm going to sell 2,000 in June, no matter what. I'm going to be a team leader July 1st, no matter what. I'm going to earn that incentive trip, no matter what. We want to train ourselves to talk to ourselves differently so that we don't give ourselves permission to give up on that. Here are some really great quotes on goals. Those who don't have goals are destined to work forever for those who do. Love that one. To achieve happiness, we should make certain we are never without an important goal. Goals are not only necessary to motivate us, they are essential to really keeping us alive. An achieved goal is the starting point for future progress. I love that one. I think that's my favorite. Life is only meaningful when we're striving for a goal. Just some great quotes to keep us, to remind us how important goals are. So I've always been a quote girl. I had a corkboard on my desk that had just all kinds of quotes on it. My bathroom mirror was just covered with stickies with goals on it. With quotes on it. Okay, so number 2 in our 10 keys to exceptional results is decide. And all I mean by that is make a decision to do it. Decide. Be not wavering, like, again, that I hope, make the decision. This is what I'm going to do. And then you commit to that. Which takes us to number 3, commit. I love this quote as well. Determine the price you'll have to pay to get it, and then resolve to pay that price. H.L. Hunt, an oil billionaire. Well, billionaires are usually somebody I would pay attention to, but I love that. That picture that you see right there is my daughter, Jillian, and that's her college graduation picture. And there's some history here. Jillian is the first and only college graduate in my entire family. I mean, I'm talking about my parents, my sister, my brother, their kids, in my entire family on both sides, my mom's side and my dad's side. Jillian is the only college graduate. So there wasn't really an expectation that she go to college. I didn't go to college. I never set that kind of an expectation for her, but she decided to go to college on her own. And the other interesting thing here is I always thought that I could afford to send Jill to any college that she wanted if she did choose to go that route. You know, I had a great job most of my life. I was the main income earner. I always felt like I would be able to do that for her. But without going into all the details of what happened at that particular moment in my life, things sort of fell apart, and I did not have the finances to send Jill to college of her choice, or any other college for that matter. It was not the way that life was supposed to go. Oh, we have somebody that's not muted. Can you just check and see if you're muted? Thank you so much. So it would have been easy for Jill to say, you know, well, if you can't pay for it, I guess I'm not going. But she decided, and she was committed to going to college. She was smart. She wanted a career. She wanted the college experience. And so she went, which also meant that she had to pay her own way. So she worked full-time all 4 years of college, maintained a full load and a 3.8 grade point average. When she graduated, she was hired at Grant Thornton accounting firm. She was the only hire out of 300 candidates, and they said, we hired you because you maintained a 3.8 and worked full-time, and that's the kind of person we want on our team. From there, she went to Starbucks corporate and was in their accounting firm in their international department. She also, while working at Grant Thornton, which was a 50-hour-a-week job, she also got her CPA. And if you know anything about getting your CPA, it's a series of 4 tests that you have to pass, and it requires a lot of studying. Jill's brilliant at math, but she actually had to get some tutoring for this. It was just a grueling process. It's like passing the bar for an attorney. But she got her CPA while working full-time. And from there, she's had some other jobs. She's at Point B right now, which is one of the top companies in the United States to work for. So she's just had a really successful career because she decided and she was committed and had no help to get there. So just a great example of what can happen when you decide and you're committed. Discipline. If we do the things that we need to do when we need to do them, the day will come when we can do the things we want to do when we want to do them. Zig Ziglar. I don't know if you know Zig Ziglar. He's gone now, but he was the most famous motivational speaker in the world. He has many, many books out there and so many great quotes. He's my favorite for sure. And I love the second one. I believe success is achieved by ordinary people with extraordinary determination. I love this quote because that's me, just the ordinary person. I am not my daughter, Jill. My dad skipped a grade. My daughter's brilliant. My son is gifted. My youngest daughter, Carly, is also brilliant. They just kind of skipped one generation, you know. So it was quotes like this that really helped me when I was in the beginning years of direct sales to help me believe that I could do this too. Just lots of quotes around me. It was talked about average person being successful, average person being, I was surrounded by quotes that said the average person can be successful. So I always share this one whenever I have an opportunity to do so. But going back to Jillian for just a moment, she's super social. I mean, I know you don't know my daughter, but she is super social. She's always with her girlfriends, except right now. Always out, you know, clubbing with her girlfriends, or now she's got 2 kids and she's married, but they still do that every once in a while, but they're together for girls' nights all the time. She's very social. She was dubbed the social, what do you call that? The person in the office that puts together like all the pizza parties or, you know, the theme days at work. She was always the one that was dedicated to that role. So in college, here she is, she's working full time, she's got a full load, she's trying to maintain that 3.8 grade point average and find time to be social. And she did it. She just figured a way that she could get her social fix in, but she also committed certain times of the week to make sure that she was getting all of her studying done, all of her schoolwork done, so that she could maintain that really important to her grade point average, but still get that social fix. And that took a lot of discipline to stay home and study when a lot of your friends are out partying. You know, they've got more time to do that. They're not working full time on top of that full load of credits. So she had to really pick and choose her moments, which I know was really hard for her, but so was that grade point average. Discipline. If we're going to achieve our goals, if we're going to get what we want from Keller Street, it takes discipline. We got to work when we don't feel like working. I don't feel like making booking contacts. Well, your success depends on it. I don't feel like hostess coaching. Well, your success depends on it. I don't like talking to people about the business opportunity. Well, your success depends on it. I mean, all of this, of course, depending on what you want from your Keller Street business. But once you commit to what you want and decide you're going for it, then discipline is also a part of that formula for success. I love this one also. How many times have I said that tonight? I love this. I love this. Number 5 in your 10 keys to exceptional results is the master key to success. This gentleman that you see in the picture here is Frosty Westring. He's gone now as well, but he was the head coach of Pacific Lutheran University, where my ex-husband went to college, and I was simply the wife of a football player. But I did get to be on the sidelines and serve Gatorade during those summer practices and watch Frosty work. I got to hear his pregame and postgame locker room talks. I got to hear him speak at banquets year after year after year. And that tiny little bit of exposure, nothing like what his players had with him, but that tiny little bit of exposure changed my life forever. Frosty taught me to think in an entirely different way. And this is one of the things that Frosty taught me. Form the habit, the master key to success. And we sometimes, we look at Jackie and we look at Debbie and other really successful people at Keller Street, and we think they're so successful because they're brilliant, because they're beautiful, because they're funny, whatever that is. And we think, that's just not me. And so we don't think that we can have that success. The master key to success is none of those things. It's not being funny. It's not being beautiful. It's not being brilliant. It's none of those things. It's this. Form the habit of doing the things that the less successful person is not willing to do. That's it. Form the habit of doing the things that the less successful person is not willing to do, like booking contacts, hostess coaching, talking to people about the business. You know, all of those things that are not necessarily our favorite things to do. I mean, I could name a dozen leaders off the top of my head that don't like doing parties, but they do them. And these are not, in fact, I was talking to somebody the other day and she said, I just hate doing parties. And I said, you can hate it, but you still have to do it. So it's not that they necessarily like doing the things that you don't like to do. A lot of times they don't. They just do them anyway because they're so important to them getting what they want from their business. The goals are more important than the pain that they have to go through to get them. Form the habits of doing the things that the less successful person will not do. Thank you, Frosty Westring. I will thank you every day of my life for that. Okay, this is number 6, a willingness to step out of your comfort zone. And I'm just going to play this video. So turn on your sound if you don't have it on. I mean, you have to have it on. You're listening to me. That was a really dumb thing to say. So this video really speaks for itself. So let's listen to it. I hope this is working. It worked for me today. I'm going to close this real quick. Hang on. And bring it. See if I can bring it.
Are you trying to get the video part?
Yeah, I mean, it worked for me this morning. I think I have the wrong slide deck up. I think this is the one that, hang on, I'll get it for you. Thank you for your patience in advance. Okay, we're gonna have a different background here, but that's okay.
For the next contestant, the world of showbiz seems a million miles away.
It's Paul, a mobile phone salesman from South Wales.
By day, I tell my wife phones. My dream is to spend my life doing what I feel that I was born to do.
Paul, what are you here for today, Paul?
To sing opera. I've always wanted to sing as a career. Confidence has always been sort of like a difficult thing for me. I've always found it a little bit difficult to be completely confident in myself.
Okay, ready when you are.
So you work at Car Phone Warehouse, and you did that. I wasn't expecting that.
No, neither was I.
This was a complete breath of fresh air. I thought you were absolutely fantastic.
You have an incredible voice. But I think if you keep singing like that, you are going to be one of the favourites to win this whole.
Okay, so long story. How many of you have seen that video? Raise your hand if you've seen that before. It's on YouTube.
But I still cried again.
I'm just sitting here getting like chill after chill after chill, and I've watched this probably 1,000 times, you know, as I share particular training. But so of course he's voted on to the show, and today he's a famous opera singer. But people judged him just by the way he looked and his lack of confidence, and you can imagine how terrifying that was for him to get out in front of that entire audience when he said, "I'm not a very confident person." You know, you could see it was really out of his comfort zone, but because he did that, look what happened to him. So I think that video just really, I don't need to elaborate on that anymore. It's our unwillingness to do things that are uncomfortable often stop us from getting what we want. Stepping out of our comfort zone is one of the big keys for us moving forward in the business. I just talked to an executive about that today, by the way, not in Jackie and Debbie's organization, but she's terrified of doing lives. And so we just talked about that, about how important it is for you to be lives or training of any sort. And this is an executive. So, you know, we all have those areas that we have to step out. And I said, well, I can give you permission to not do it, but it's going to hold you back if you don't. You know? So anyway, all right, so next. Courage is being afraid and doing it anyway. Don't you just love that quote? Here's another good one. The speed at which we manifest the things in life that we want is directly proportionate to the speed at which we become comfortable with those things. So really that's a mouthful, isn't it? But what it is really saying is that sometimes dreaming big is out of our comfort zone. even the idea of being a director might seem too big, and or even team leader, too big and way out there. And we're afraid of that. So it holds us back. That holds us back. Or sometimes we have those self-imposed time frames, like I want to be a director, and my goal is to hit, or a team leader. So my goal is to be a team leader, and I want to be a team leader by September 1st. And so we put that goal way out there. We might even say January 1st, way out there, because it feels like it's such a big task. So we tend to work towards that goal. So that holds us back. I mean, team leader is a 60-day process. It's just, 2 recruits and 1, and we're a team leader. So we put these self-imposed timeframes on things that are so far out there because it feels safe, and that can hold us back. Number 7 is belief. You've heard that saying that knowledge is power, haven't you? Like, go to college, knowledge is power. Go to that seminar, knowledge is power. And I will argue that till the death. Knowledge is important, but it's only when we take that knowledge and we put it to action that it's really, truly power. I know so many people that went to college, spent a fortune. Well, it's probably their parents' fortune, and never did anything with it. There are people that go to conference and get all of this great training from the best of the best in their company, and then they go home all excited, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this, but they never put it to action. I have people that pay to be in my trainings or pay me to coach them, but they never put anything to action, and so they just stay stuck. Knowledge is important, but it doesn't do us any good until we put it to action, and then that's when it's truly power. Knowledge equals confidence. And what I mean by this is, and I see this all the time, we can hear a training like this or a training on recruiting, and we can think that makes perfect sense. I get it. But that's what I call head confidence. Like, I believe it. That makes sense. But then there's what I call heart confidence, and that's when we put it to action and it works, and we're a little bit surprised. People buy my dice game, and they hear it. They hear me train on it. They think, okay, that's great. I believe it. I believe it's going to work. And then they play the dice game at their party, and they walk away with 4 bookings, and they're surprised. It's not that they distrusted me. It's just they're surprised that it really worked for them. Knowledge equals confidence. That makes sense. Okay, I'll try that. I'll try that. But when it works, that's when you really get that heart belief. It's deep. It's solid. It's not going anywhere because it worked for you. Remember, the expert at anything was a beginner first. Jackie, this is Jackie's first rodeo. She's never been in direct sales before. So she came in with zero knowledge of how this business works. She had Debbie to hold her hand and coach her and teach her, but she had to learn from scratch. She had to learn how to book nail bars. She had to learn how to hostess coach. She had to learn how to recruit. She had to learn how to build leaders. But she was a beginner first. Debbie comes from another direct selling company, but she had a first. She had a first company where she had to learn all those things as well, but they did, and now you look at them. The expert at anything was a beginner first, and sometimes we look at people and they're so polished and they're so good, you just feel like they've always been amazing, but they weren't. They had to learn this every step of the way, just like you. I love this quote as well. When you can't see that far, go a little ways, and when you get there, you'll be able to see further. Again, Zig Ziglar, you can tell I'm a fan. And that really just means when you look at team leader and it feels too big, just work on getting that first recruit. And then you can see 2. You'll believe you can get 2. You get 2, and now you believe you can be a team leader. You get to team leader, and now you think, okay, I can be a director, and you work towards director. You get to director, and now executive seems attainable. But if we are a stylist and we're looking at executive, it's too big, isn't it? It's too big of a leap. It feels too hard. We just take these baby steps. What can you see next? And we hit that. And when we hit that, then we go to the next step. That's what that means. That's really a great way of working your business. Next is focus. Obstacles are the things we see when we take our eyes off the goal. So focus just means that we stay focused on what we're trying to attain. And then when we're really focused on our goal and why we want that goal, then those things that happen, the cancellations, the flop party, the recruit decides not to join, a product launch that went a little sideways, those are just bumps in the road, but they aren't stoppers. They're just bumps. But when we lose sight of our goal, that's when they become stoppers. When we lose sight of what's important to us and what we're working for and why we're working for it, that's when they become stoppers. So this is my business card, and what has it got to do with anything tonight? Well, when I was launching Average to Excellence, I took about, let's see, from August to January. So I made a decision in August to start my own company, and I worked on that process until January. And one of the things that we felt was really important, I felt was really important, was coming up with the right logo. That took forever. Coming up with the right name. That took forever. And then, so we got that all accomplished. So we designed the business card, and this is my business card. And I took it to my local nail salon where there's a lot of direct sellers that got their nails done there. So I took it to the salon. I said, Miley, can I leave my business cards here? And she said, sure. So I've got a little plastic thing with my business cards. I come back a week later. She said, hey, somebody took your card. Or 2 weeks later, somebody took your card. And I said, oh, really? What'd they say? And she said, what does she do? They want to know what you do. So I put all this time into creating this business card. And don't you think that having what you do on your business card is kind of important? I left the most important thing on. I was so focused on what's my name going to be? What's my colors going to be? What's my brand going to look like? That I forgot the most important thing. What does she do? Oh, she's a business coach. She does trainings. That might have been important to put on my business card. All right, so that's the idea. Don't get lost in the minutia. Just focus on things that are going to make the big difference. All right, this is another fun video. So let's see how this goes. Work today. We are not destined to see videos tonight. All right, so anyway, I'll tell you what happens here. So you hear I think it's a Swedish video, I think, but they're speaking in another language and they're counting to 3. 1, 2, 3, and then the girl behind pulls the hands through the legs of the girl in front, which of course causes her to completely fall forward and her head just smashes against the sidewalk. So it's terrible, painful to watch, which is exactly why I wanted to watch it. But the point is, you watch this video and you're never going to try this. You learn from somebody else's mistake. And so we want to be teachable. Let me see if I can. We want to be teachable because we can learn from others, like that video. We're never going to try that. We're going to tell our kids, don't do this because it's very dangerous. Everyone we meet is our superior at something. We can learn something from everybody if we're listening, if we're open to trying new things, if we're teachable. And the other point here is that we hear experience is the best teacher. And again, I'm going to argue with that a little bit and say other people's experience is the best teacher. In all my years in this business, I can tell you what not to do because I've done it. I've made every mistake you can possibly make in this business. And because I'm a slow learner, usually more than once, I think, oh, it didn't work last time. Let's try it again. Maybe it'll work this time. Nope, didn't work this time either. Okay, let's not do that. I can teach you what things not to do. So can Debbie, so can Jackie, so many people at Color Street. So listen to what other people have experienced. They figured out systems to do this or this that work. So we don't have to figure that out. They've made mistakes that they can caution you. Don't do this because this is what happens. Other people's experience can be a great teacher. And then the last key is persistence. This is my favorite word in the English language because, as I've shared with you guys many times, I'm a slow learner. I barely made it out of high school, only because I got credit for cheerleading and PE and teacher's assistant. So I then went to college. I didn't go to college, but I flunked out the first semester, and I came back home and went back to work in the restaurant business and did that for 13 years. And then after that, I had my own daycare business, made a daycare center. And then after that, I got involved in direct sales. So I don't have a background of brilliance or, successes behind me, just that average normal person. But what I do have behind me is persistence. It's my strongest, best quality. And that has been the key that has taken me to many heights of success in this business. I think just pretty much in life general. I'm good at setting goals, and I do not let go of them until the bell rings. That doesn't mean that I've hit every single goal I've set for myself, but most of them, because I really work hard and I track and I don't give up until the bell rings. But I've missed goals, but I'm also further ahead of where I would have been without that goal, even when I missed it. But I never gave up until the bell rang. Persistence, that will take you a long ways if you just stick to it. All right, so I know I've probably gone over. I can't see the clock with these slides open, but I am done. So.
Right on the nose, but
Okay.
It's only because we had some technical difficulties.
Right. What's as always with me.
All right.
All right, let's turn the screen back over to you.
Okay. There we go. Oh, there's everybody. I had it minimized, so it was just you in the screen. That was amazing, Shari. And you're right, it was such perfect timing. It's funny how we planned that prior to just everything going on. So it was a great topic, I think, coming out of quarantine and everything, but also given what we've all been dealing with this week. So when you do things like you talked about, it's going to help you get through days like yesterday when we all wanted to scream and shout.
No, nobody felt that.
No, not at all.
I can hang with you if you want. I mean, I know I'm over, but if you have any questions or anything, I'd be happy to answer them.
Anybody have any questions for Shari?
Or maybe you want to tell, what was your favorite part, or what really spoke to you of those 10? Anybody?
Hi, everyone. I have something I'd love to add, if I could.
Of course.
I love writing the goal down. And so when I was listening to Shari talk about the 10 keys, I thought, oh my gosh, yes. I was so fired up and so excited to get to certain ranks or to earn a trip or to earn a second trip. And I don't think it would have happened if I didn't have the goal written down and posted in my plain view. I literally took my Post-it note with my goal written down and put it on my mirror in my bedroom where I open up my closet door. And I saw that I wanted to earn the senior director trip, so that so many of us went to in Austin, not Austin, but San Antonio, Texas. So it's really awesome to hear this right now when we know that conference is coming up in just a month and that they may announce an exciting incentive trip. Who knows what surprises they have in store, but we still have a lot of time right now for the month of June to set some goals to hit a certain rank or a certain personal volume, or maybe to enroll somebody or improve our hostess coaching. But I really loved hearing this. It was a really wonderful refresher for me personally, because I know, oh, I dropped the ball. Some things happened in my life and I stopped writing my goal, and I need to get back to doing that.
Thank you, Jackie.
Yeah, and one thing I was thinking about with the goal, like you said, is you said the leader, again, people who want to go to that leader training on the Thursday after, you know, we've posted it, but if you have wanted to be a team leader and you hit it this month, you achieve it, you get invited to that leader training. So that is a great goal that could be achievable. We have a lot of time left in the month. And once again, we're hitting record numbers again. You could make that happen. But again, you need to write it down. You need to see what you need, talk to your upline leader, figure it out. But I would love to see people have the goal they want for rank for conference.
And people need money right now, so it's a perfect time to recruit.
And I think it was a great refresher too to hear the word SMART goal, that it's specific, that it's measurable, that it's attainable, that you have it down in a time frame. I'm like, oh yes, like it can't just be team leader, and then turn that goal into specific tasks too. So that was awesome.
Good.
And I love the goal stopper, the self-talk, because of course, I think women have more self-talk than men do, I swear, but I don't know if there's a stat out there for that, but it's so easy to convince yourself out of something it is to convince yourself that you can do something. So again, even with what we dealt with yesterday, if you start saying all this negative stuff in your head, if you start talking with people who are negative about it, what's going to happen? Your whole mindset can change.
Yeah.
So self-talk is so important to hit your goal and to keep it where it needs to be to prevent you from not hitting your goal.
Should we call some people out? I know Meredith always has something really.
I know, I was just waiting for her. She always has something to add.
Come on, Meredith, give us a takeaway.
Oh, you're muted, hang on.
I just like that.
There you go.
From a teacher perspective, I like, it's kind of cringeworthy with SMART goal. So it's been really fun and rewarding to have a more positive spin on it, and it's just been so great. Like I got my senior stylist pin in the mail today, and I've had more recognition from this company in 8 months than I did in 14 years teaching. And it's just, and even besides like the little pins or jewelry, I love all the training to soak up, and just any opportunity I have to, hear things that maybe but just to hear them again, and all the different quotes are really inspiring. And it's like, yeah, write it down, what you need to do. And just hearing it from other people and being surrounded from other people really just kind of helps cement it all.
Thank you. I knew you'd have something wonderful to add.
You're too much.
Congratulations on senior stylist. I'm proud of you.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for the feedback.
Anybody else before we hang up? They're all writing their goals right now. Well, next month we are scheduled. We have Shari scheduled for the next 3 months for you guys. So make sure everything she teaches is wonderful and so helpful, and she's a proven. I mean, she is a proven plan for success. She teaches what she did. So make sure you're staying tuned or rewatching the videos whenever Shari does a training.
Yeah, I would just kind of chime in on that. My neighbor came over and asked what I was doing. I was like, oh, I have some meetings starting at 7. And she's like, well, what are you doing? I probably didn't do you justice, but I was like, normally we have to pay for this. So the fact that it's a gift from Jackie and Debbie, I'm so grateful for that. And I'm excited to hear that there's more opportunities for that. So I just always love hearing what you have to offer us and help us. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, Shari, we know we're digging into your dinner time with your hubby, which is, Shari, like we're all supposed to set our hours. Shari is very strict about her hours, so her hubby gets his time too.
I love it.
So we appreciate you, Shari. Thank you so much. Thanks everybody for hopping on, and work on those goals.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. See you guys next
Thank
time.
you.
All right, sounds great. Thanks.
Thank you, Sherry. Thanks, Deb.
Yeah.
Check you